living life is stage. Hey, hey, 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 love yourself first, explicitly. You owe it to yourself to move with that energy. Empower your self-esteem. Self-love is king. That's the only way to win. That's how you empower your dream. Living life is stage. Hey, hey, living life is stage. Hey, hey, living life is stage. Hey, hey, living life is stage. Hey, hey.
Hey y'all, happy Thursday, happy Thirsty Thursday, and welcome to Living Life with Stae podcast. And I am your girl, Stae Hall. I am a transformational speaker, a certified emotional intelligence and soft skills coach, as well as a life coach, LYFE, love yourself first explicitly. And I'm also a YouTuber and a vlogger and a podcaster and all that stuff. And that's why I'm here. And I love talking to you all. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. Y'all are getting fresh face Stae today. The skin is skinning. Did my skincare. I didn't have any meetings today where I had to be on camera. I had no out of the house meetings today. Like that is the first time in forever. I took like an impromptu phone call type of meeting today, but I had a relatively easy day today. Hey, Janet, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I had a really easy day today. Like I slept in. I've been watching crime TV all day. Of course, I've been working. My laptop has been on my lap all day, but I've been able to be creative and just kind of catch up on a couple of things. But nothing that I had to do. So I love days like that. I don't think I can ever have a day where I just don't work at all, but it was all by choice. I had no demands on me today. And it's always crazy when I look at my calendar, the rare times that I see that, I'm like, oh my gosh. And so the only thing that I had to do today was show up for y'all. But I was like, they getting fresh face today. I'm going to do my skincare and just let my skin do what it do. So this is me. Yeah, no eyebrows, nothing. This is me. This is your girl Stae. But I am so happy to be here. We are still on our road to 1K. I'm at about 7:14. I've been trying to remember to check right before I get on so I can kind of keep y'all up to date with where we are. So I'm excited about that. Hey, Monica, thank you so much for being here. I am super excited about, being on this journey with you all. It's fun. It's a lot of fun watching the growth, and I'm loving seeing the growth with my other content creator families as well. Everybody seems to be out here thriving, doing their thing, impacting people, entertaining people, teaching people, whatever it is that you do. I'm here for it. I love to support, and I am appreciating the support that I'm getting as well. Also, just want to remind you all that this is mainly being streamed to YouTube, but because of the streaming software I use, we can stream to other outlets. However, YouTube is what it really likes. So if you are on Facebook, either on my fan page or my personal page, and you want to make sure that I can see you and see your comments and you can participate in real time, then jump on over to YouTube. And if you haven't already subscribed, this is a perfect time to subscribe. And then you can go ahead and get into those comments, and you don't have to depend on me to remember to keep looking at the different monitors that I have set up around me. So yeah, y'all, that's where we are. That's all the things. And so we are going to jump into today's topic. And today's Thirsty Thursday, and y'all know it's just kind of like a little play on that name, even though I do have my water here. It's not the Thirsty Thursday that y'all thinking about. It's Thirsty for Knowledge. So on Mindset Mondays, I like to bring you more of the mindset type of things, the soft skills, the emotional intelligence. And then on Thirsty Thursdays, we like to jump into more of educational things, which a lot of times it's going to be surrounding business and entrepreneurship, because that's what I know. But I also want y'all, while I'm thinking about that, let me know. My email address is always in the description box. Let me know if there are any topics that you would like for us to discuss that I haven't, because again, I'm only one person. I can't think of everything. I try to make sure that I stay on top of things and I kind of pay attention to what my clients are talking about and the things that they're dealing with in certain issues. I am always on the internet watching other videos and vlogs and things. So I try to bring things that I feel that'll be relevant to our Life for Tribe, to our audience. But if there's something that you think I can help you with, if there's something that you would like me to discuss, then by all means, throw me an email, ask the question, and I will do my best to tackle that subject. Or if not, I can always have a subject matter expert join me, because I have been blessed to have a huge circle of phenomenal people who are just excellent at so many different things. I mean, I have tax experts in my circle. I have event planners in my circle. I have therapists in my circle. I have medical physicians in my circle. So I really have been blessed. I have attorneys in my circle. So never think, well, it's not about emotional intelligence and self-love. So it might not be something Stae can help with. And it may be something that I didn't think about, and I would like some more insider information on it as well. So never hesitate to slide into my DMs, hit me with an email, jump into my inbox, whatever it is, if there's something that, you would like to discuss, or just a topic that you would like to see brought to the Living Life with Stae Thirsty Thursday or Mindset Mondays. If there's something about the mindset and emotional intelligence and soft skills, feel free. Open door policy. And with that being said, I have also pinned the link to today's broadcast up in the comments. It's pinned and starred at the top. So if anyone has a question or just wants to join me up here, we can make this a panel. Y'all know it is an open door. So I think that has covered all of the housekeeping things, all the preliminary things. So now we're going to jump into today's topic, which is preparing for full-time entrepreneurship, steps to success. I have been a full-time entrepreneur for quite some time. Probably since my early 30s, I have done entrepreneurship more than I have actually had a job. So even when I was working, I was not working full time. I was explaining to you all the other day when I was on with my wonderful other half, Wallace, that I did contract work. And so I would only work maybe for a few months out of the year. So I have been in this entrepreneurial game for a long time, but there are steps to this. And so most recently, it was bringing Wallace off of his corporate job and bringing him into entrepreneurship full-time, which made us a full-time entrepreneurial couple, a full-time entrepreneurial family. And even though we're technically empty nesters, we still have people who depend on us for a lot of things. And so it really was important for us to plan for this full-time entrepreneurship. And I know that there are many of you in the Life for Tribe and beyond who also have a desire to one day be a full-time entrepreneur, be full-time in business for yourself, be a full-time business owner. And so I want you to be ahead of the game in your planning, because it's not just about money. And the money is not necessarily just about the money that you're going to make or how much is in the bank. It's about longevity. It's about sustainability. It's about stability. And so you want to be able to think long-term, because even though, you may have $500,000 in the bank today, that $500,000 is a lot different when you can't guarantee where the income is going to continuously come from. And that $500,000 is a lot different when maybe you're losing money in business in the very beginning. Full-time is the dream. Yeah, for a whole lot of us. And I'm here to let you know that it's possible because we've done it. And so many people will look at me because of my journey and be like, well, it was easy for you to do because you had a husband with a good job and blah, 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 blah. Yes, that made a lot of it a lot easier. But I need y'all to remember, Wallace and I have only been married for 10 years, together for 12. I was a full-time entrepreneur when I met Wallace. So I had my own journey and my own struggles, and I didn't always have that support of someone to fall back on or someone who was holding things down. So I know it from both ends of the spectrum, from doing it as a single woman on my own with 3 children, as well as being able to do it with the support of a supportive spouse, but then being able to bring him home. And we're not sister wiving it around here. There's no menage a trois it around here. There's no threesome going on around here. So once he came off of his job, it was just us. We didn't have nobody to fall back on. So I think that that's what makes me an excellent person to be able to share this with you, because I've been through it. So if entrepreneurship is your dream, like Janet said, then this is the perfect broadcast for you. If you know anybody else who is looking to go into full-time entrepreneurship, go ahead and tag them, share the video, text them, send them an email, whatever, because I'm going to be dropping some good nuggets. Y'all already know how it is. When I have the note paper, when I have things written down, that means y'all need to get y'all pencils, because I'm usually talking off the top of my head. But when I have decided to make some bullet points, when I've decided to go from some notes, then y'all know I'm going to be dropping some nuggets. And again, y'all always get that bonus, that upper hand, because I am giving you information that people have paid me a lot of money for in one-on-ones, right? Because that's how I'm able to be a full-time entrepreneur. I have to be able to share information and get paid for it. But for my Lifer Tribe, I give you guys a lot. For how much? Free 99. Yes, definitely share. If you have a lot of entrepreneurs in your circle, definitely share, because again, I like to share with y'all some of the things that I wish people would have told me beforehand. Hold on one second. My daughter-in-law just texted me something very important. Please. Look, and that's a shame. It's about food. She said they go on the ooey wings. Do I want something? I just want to try one wing. They're on their way over here to watch the game. But anyway, y'all, excuse and pardon my greediness. But yeah, I like to share with y'all the things that I wish somebody would have shared with me. So as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter what business or line of business you're in, you are going to need customers or clients, because someone is going to have to either be paying you for your services, or someone's going to have to be paying you for your products in order for you to be paid and be an entrepreneur. Other than that, that just makes you a volunteer, which is great. But on the road to full-time entrepreneurship, unless you have hit the lottery for billions of dollars and you can just do whatever you want to do as an act of philanthropy, you need to be paid. And so what you want to do is make sure that you are working on building a healthy enough clientele out of the gate, doing all the things that you need to do to be able to secure your clients, secure your customers. And that means having excellent customer service. That means going above and beyond in whatever it is that you do. You have to be able to build and maintain healthy client and customer base. You cannot be a full-time entrepreneur and be able to survive and maintain your lifestyle and stability if everyone who comes through is just a one-hit wonder. These businesses that we see, whether it's Walmart, whether it is Red Lobster, in which Red Lobster is not a good one because I think they're going out of business, but you know what I mean? All these businesses, McDonald's that we've seen, they would not be able to sustain if the people who came through their door only came once and never came back. Even if you're super duper popular, that can sustain you only but for so long, because there's not going to be everybody in the world who wants what it is that you're selling or providing. So just like with McDonald's, we have people who have certain types of dietary restrictions in the world who will never eat at a McDonald's. Do you know what I mean? We have people who just don't eat fast food, so they're never going to go to the McDonald's. So McDonald's caters to a certain and specific group of people And although it be a very large group of people, if each of those people only came to McDonald's once and never came back, McDonald's would not still be here and thriving decades and decades and decades after they first opened. They would not have all of the locations that they have and still be able to open new locations if they didn't have repeat customers, if they didn't have repeat clients. So you have to be patient, because depending on what you do, it may take you a while to be able to measure how many repeat clients you have. And so you have to gather that data. You have to take those notes. You have to track that. Who are my repeat customers? Who are my repeat clients? With me, for instance, with my life coaching, because, I do the life coaching with the one-on-one coaching. And then we also have which the life coaching is under that umbrella, but that's just about the, thank you so much, Janet. I appreciate you, Ladybug. But we're going to talk about my life coaching, because I think that's a little bit more of something that is on the scale of most of your businesses. So with my life coaching clients, the way that I measure it is to see how I can bring people from one service to another service, and then referrals, right? So I'm going to use Janet for an example. So Janet is already a client of mine. She's not a paid client, but Janet's a client of mine. Why is Janet a client of mine? Because she's a part of the Lifer Tribe. Janet is considered a client of mine because not only has she become a part of the Lifer Tribe, she is a committed member of the Lifer Tribe. I can depend on Janet to show up 80% of the time when I pop up, and 80-20 is great. If I'm retaining 80% of the people who come through here, that is awesome. So Janet is now a client. And so with Janet being my client, what I need to think about is, okay, Janet is a client. She's a repeat client, but she may not be a paid client at this time. However, thank you for that, boo. I appreciate you. However, that doesn't mean at some point Janet wouldn't reach out to me and say, hey, Stae, I'm interested in a one-on-one coaching session with you. So now Janet has gone from just being a repeat committed client and part of the Lifer Tribe to, hey, Chris, how are you? To now a paid client. However, she's only booked me for one-on-one coaching session. So I still can't say, okay, good, I'm on a roll, she's a repeat client. No, what I need from Janet after that would be two more things. I need her to then say, oh my gosh, Stae, I love that one-on-one session with you. That was awesome. I'm interested now into going into one of your 6-week programs. Now I've moved her from being a part of the Lifer Tribe, being the 80% that show up consistently, to now having one session, to then going into wanting 6 sessions with me. And guess what? After the 6 sessions, Janet's then going to say, oh my goodness, she's going to say to Crooked Peach, who is one of her friends, Peach, I did my 6 sessions with Stae. It was amazing. This is what I learned. You and I have been talking about A, B, and C. I really think that you should reach out to Stae and become one of her clients. You see how that works? So now I can count Janet as a client, because Janet is going to come back to me again for something else, because with life coaching and whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that it's something that either you can build on it, or it's something that people are going to need over and over again. So whether you are in the catering business, whether you are making body butters and candles, whatever it is that you're doing, you want to switch it up just enough. Add some different foods to your menu, add some different fragrances to your candle collection, because you want people, whenever they want that thing, to come to you, and they may not always want the exact same thing. So you want to make sure that within your wheelhouse that you have variety and something different to offer them, so that they don't have to go anywhere else. So Janet may have come to me for life coaching for one specific thing, because I usually like to tackle one thing at a time. Well, life is going to be life. And now Janet's into this, and she's thriving, and she's brought Peach into it, and Peach is thriving. And so I have to make sure that I build that connection with them. Hey, Miss Kirkland, that they are going to want to continue to come back to me whenever there's a need. And that doesn't mean every single month. It doesn't mean every other month, but I want to make sure, and this is going to depend on your price point, but for me to have a solid client, I need them to come back to me at least once a year. And if they come back to me at least once a year, that is somebody that is a sustainable client for me to put in that box when I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to be ready to move on into full entrepreneurship. So paying attention to your customers and clients, tracking how often they come back to you, tracking what it is that they get from you, how much they get from you, how much you spend. That is a part of being on the road to entrepreneurship. You can't just have a great month and say, oh yeah, I'm going full time. You can't even just have one great year necessarily, depending on where you are in the process, and say, hey, I'm going full time entrepreneur. You have to be able to build a track record. And so for me, I usually tell people to look at this as a 3-year process. And again, it's going to be different for everybody, but within 3 years of having your business, and it may mean going from full-time employment to part-time employment at some point, but to me, you need at least 3 years in that business of tracking your customers. Hey, living out loud, how are you? Tracking your customers, tracking your repeat customers, tracking your retention in order for you to really feel good about that, because there can be those one-off years where it's just like, oh my gosh, this was great, and it's going to be like this every year. There's no guarantee. And you definitely need at least a full year to track anything, because in any type of business, there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be your slow seasons. There's going to be your busy seasons. There's going to be those seasons where everybody is beating down your door. There's going to be those seasons where there's crickets, and you need to be able to see that. So minimum 1 year, but I tell my clients, I know it sounds like a long time, but I'm like, look at me. If I could go through this in my seasoned old age, you can do it too. 3 years goes just like this, especially when you're trying to juggle entrepreneurship, to work yourself through to full-time entrepreneurship while working a full-time job. That time is going to go just like that, because you don't have time to be counting the time. You're going. And so that's something that I don't think a lot of people consider. They have these good times. They have a lot of sales. They make decent money, but they're not paying attention to who their repeat clients and customers are. Your repeat clients and customers are the ones who are going to sustain your business, because your repeat clients and customers are not only going to continue to come back to you, they are going to refer people to you. And no matter how much marketing we do on these interwebs, on our social media, no matter how many business cards we pass out, no matter how many networking events we go to, even though y'all know networking is very important and we're going to get to that, but no matter what, nothing grows a business like good old-fashioned word of mouth and referrals. People like to go to people who they know, like, and trust. People do business with who they know, like, and trust. People spend business with people who they know, like, and trust. And if they don't already know, like, and trust you, the next best thing is they want to do business with people who their friends and family know, like, and trust. That is going to beat any commercial, any advertisement, anything you put in a newsletter, anything that's posted on social media. You know why? Because people understand that the things that we post and the things that we market and the things that we put out there, I don't care if it's a billboard on Wall Street or if it is just a little flyer in the church newsletter, whatever it is, they know it came from us. So of course, we're going to say our business is the greatest. Of course, we're going to say we have the best prices. Of course, we're going to say you need to come to me, which all of it may be true. But what really brings it home and what's going to bring the people in is when their friends and family members can say, oh, I bought that from her and it is thebomb.com. Oh yeah, I went to her or him for that service and they are fantastic. That is what's going to drive it home. And so that's why we want to pay attention to our customer base. We want to pay attention to our clientele. As we're building this customer and business, customer base and clientele, though, You always want to ask for those referrals. Remind people to refer you. Give them incentive for referring you. If you like the product you got from me, if you love the service that you received, please feel free to share me with your family and friends. And for every person you refer to me, I will give you 10% off of your next service or your next product. This is how you get people out there working for you, doing your marketing campaign for little to nothing. 10% off may not mean a whole lot to us depending on what we're doing, but that can be a big deal to someone else, especially if you have a big ticket item. Like for me, for instance, a lot of my coaching sessions and different things can be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So 10% off of $1,000, that's $100 discount. That's nothing to sneeze at, but I'm still doing the same amount of work, doing the thing that I do all the time. So it's not a big deal to me. I can stand to quote unquote lose that $100 to potentially get another $1,000 client in. Does that make sense? Y'all put a 1 in the chat if you're picking up what I'm putting down, because I feel like this is another one of them times where I've been talking and I'm picturing y'all in my mind right now, because I know what some of y'all look like, and I feel like y'all looking at me like, what? So put a 1 in the chat if this is making sense. That is so important. You can't just come up with a good business idea. Thank you, Janet, and know that your idea is good or know that your product is good without knowing from the people. And I have had people who have stumbled across. Janet is the only one who's understanding me. Okay, thanks, Miss Kirkland, because I gotta say, I think I need to do a redo of your water in the garden. Yes, that's good. That's good. Getting some things done. I love that. Yeah, you don't have to be staring at my face as long as you can hear me, girl. Get that garden water. I was watching J3 a little while ago, and he had the Barbados, I think, cherries. And I'm just so jealous. I don't have a green thumb, y'all. I said I was going to try to grow something this year, and I might have to take y'all outside one day and show y'all. I have this 3-tiered, like, growing planter type of thing, but I tried it a couple of years with some herbs and stuff, and everything just burnt up to smithereens because I live in Texas. So, and I know a lot of y'all live in Texas too, or a lot of people in the gardening community live in Texas, but it's hard for me. But anyway, you just want to look at growing that customer base, because that is so important, because none of us as entrepreneurs cannot survive without some sort of customer or client base. Whether your customer is, if you're a B2B where it's business to business clienteles, or if it's business to individuals, whatever it is. With my company, iSalt, we're more of a B2B. I need to be able to get those corporate contracts. And when I'm getting those corporate contracts, those contracts can be from anywhere from a 90-day contract to a 6-month contract to a year contract. But I have not gotten the contract yet that's a 20-year contract, a 30-year contract. And I plan on living a long, long life. I can't leave my job and become a full-time entrepreneur because I got one good 1-year contract. So I had to make sure before Wallace came home full-time that our biggest contracts were going to renew and want us back. And the way I made sure of that is I gave excellent service. I provided above and beyond. I under-promised and over-delivered. And that's what you need to build your client base. Always under-promise, over-deliver. And the reason why I say under-promise is because life be lifing, as we like to say. Resources change, circumstances change. So you always want to be able to do what you said you were going to do. So don't guarantee somebody that you can have something done 6 weeks before they even expect it, unless you know for a fact you can do that. But if you guarantee them that they can have it 2 weeks before they expect it, and then you're able to give it to them 6 weeks before, then that's over delivering. And people love that. People love that wow factor. People love when you go over and beyond. People love when you're able to deliver more than they even expected. And sometimes it's okay to like kind of hold something back as a bonus. If you're someone who is maybe a caterer and someone gives you a catering order and you decide just to throw in a cake that they didn't even order. People love that kind of stuff. That cake may have only cost you $10 to make, but it can end up making you $10,000 in the long run, because people are going to remember that. So throwing in little bonuses, doing that little extra. My chef that I use for all of my private events, and I try to use her for as many as my business and corporate events as possible, Not only is her food delicious, that was the first thing that drew me to her. I was able to have her food, but the first time I had her food, it was not at an event. I had just ordered something. And so the food was delicious, but her presentation is what really got me and made her just be my chef, where I don't even need to look at anybody else, because her food is great, but the way she presents it, and I'm talking about the way she presents it, even if you get it from her place and it's just in a to-go container. She puts it in that to-go container, and if you didn't see the actual container, you would think that you were looking at a 5-star restaurant plating in a to-go container. And so then when I saw different events that she did on her social media, and I hired her for an event, it was above and beyond. She comes and does events with these beautiful floral arrangements. She has rose petals on the table. She does candles. She has ivy. The structures that she puts the food on are brass, and because you eat with your eyes first, and I already know the food is delicious. And so that's what sets her apart to me from other caterers, from other chefs. And that's how you want to be in your business. Your packaging, if you have a product, make sure that your packaging is stellar. That is how you're going to move on. Don't just do the bare minimum. Always do a little thank you note, whatever you can, because that's what's going to help you with this number one of building your customer and your client base. And I know I've stayed on this point a long time, which should let y'all know how important it is, because again, without your customers and your clients, you ain't got no business. So make sure you do everything you can. And then you want to use that first year, that first 2-3 years to track those customers, and then thank your customers for being repeat customers. Send your customers a Merry Christmas card, even if it's an electronic one. You want to do those kind of things. That's what make people come back to you. So the next thing that you want to make sure that you can do, and these aren't in any particular order. Y'all know how I am. I write things down as I think of them, even though I do feel like this client base is number one, but the rest of them are not in any particular order. So we can talk about that a different day if anybody has questions about the order. And also, don't forget, the link is in the chat. So if anyone wants to join me up here, if you have something to add, if you are a full-time entrepreneur, if you have a question, if you're headed that way, whatever, please feel free to hit the link and join me up here. I would absolutely love that. So the next thing I want to talk about is creating a solid and realistic business plan, right? And so when I say that, it's actually sitting down and dissecting your business and what you do and what the plan is, at least for the next 5 years, of what you think your business can do. This is my business. This is how much I charge for what I do. This is realistically how many customers and clients I feel that I can get. This is how much money I can make. This is how much money I need to borrow to get this business going. This is how many people I may need to work with me. These are the certifications that I need. These are the licenses that I need. You want to have that all on paper, because that visual is what's going to also give you a clear look into how feasible it is for you and what amount of time to do this full time. Because business in the very beginning, a lot of times is more about spending money than it is making money. I hate to be the one to tell you that, but it's true. And it depends on what you do. If you're someone who has a product, you have to be able to have that inventory. The worst thing is to start a business and it does start booming and you're getting a lot of orders and you can't fill them. That's not going to be able to bring you a good client base. Now, there's a difference in having tons of stuff and just selling out. But if you only have enough for 10 people, you want to be able to get enough money together where you can be able to serve the masses. So make sure that your inventory is up. If you are ordering your inventory, then make sure that you can afford to order a certain amount of inventory. And that dollar amount is going to be up to you, but you want to make sure that you're able to serve people. You don't want to open your doors. You don't want to, have your website go live and after 5 people order something, you're sold out, and then they have to wait 6 to 8 weeks to have their order fulfilled. Then you're not going to be on a good road to building that sustainable clientele who's going to come, because we live in this TikTok society, this microwave society where everybody wants stuff quick. They want things quick, fast, and in a hurry. They don't want to wait for days and days. We live in the Amazon Prime days. People do not want to wait. So you want to have the inventory to be able to serve a decent amount of people. If you have a service, if you do hair, if you do life coaching, you want to make sure that you have the time to be able to serve people. So you want to do a business plan, structure your time. What does that look like? If I'm working full time and I'm working from 8 to 5, then when can I reasonably see clients, and how many clients can I see? Am I going to do 1-hour sessions or 30-minute sessions? Am I going to have 6-week programs or 3-week programs? Are my appointments going to be virtual, or do I need to rent an office space? All of that type of thing. Thank you for hitting that like button, whoever did that. Yes, please hit the like button, y'all, if you haven't already, and help your girl in the algorithm so we can get to this 1K and beyond. But in your business plan, how much time is it going to take? Are you going to be able to do that? If you're someone who does hair, when can I see clients? Am I only going to see them on the weekends? Am I going to see them in the evenings? What does that look like? Because your time is going to be a huge part of your business plan. I'm starting this business. Do I have the time to do it? If you make your own inventory, if you're a candle maker, if you are a baker, if you make body butters, whatever it is, when are going to be my days to make my products? When am I going to sell my products? Where am I going to sell my products? All of that is a part of your business plan. If you're looking into some kind of brick and mortar for your business, if there is some kind of heavy equipment you need for your business, if you're trying to open a food truck, those types of things. Do you have the money for the food truck? If you don't have the money, the part of your business plan needs to be, how am I going to go about getting that money? Do I need investors? If I'm going to get investors, what is the return on investment going to be? What is the amount of time that they should expect to be paid? If I'm going to go to a bank, do I have all the documentations? Because a lot of traditional banks, they're going to want to see this business plan. They're going to want to see this. They're going to ask you these questions, and they're going to want those things in writing. If you're trying to open a restaurant, do you need a liquor license? Or are you going to be a BYOB? Those are all of the things that you need, because you don't want to quit your job to start this business and then realize you can't even afford to start the business because you didn't do the research and think it through and realize everything that you need to start the business. There are some businesses with minimal overhead, but there aren't any businesses that have absolutely zero overhead. Some people will try to tell you that, but you are always going to need to purchase something for your business. Now, opening up a full-scale restaurant is going to be a lot more expensive than maybe just wanting to bake cookies and pies and sell them out of your house. But you also have to look into what kind of licensing you may need for that, your food handler's license, things like that. And those things aren't free. And so you want to make sure that you have a solid and realistic business plan. Don't put yourself out of business before you even get started just because you didn't think it through, just because you didn't have the funds, just because you didn't think about all the things that you were going to need. Because the worst thing is to go through all this, leave your job, and then have to go right back looking for another job because you didn't plan. Planning should never be the reason why you fail. And that's what they say. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. You want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row from the beginning, that you've written everything down, because that's what's going to make it make more sense to you. And the thing is, if you start creating your business plan and you get a little overwhelmed and you're like, dang, I didn't even think about that, I don't even have all that, that's the time not to give up. That's just the time to scale back your business. You want to scale back your business before you start your business. That's fine. That's just making that pivot. That's just a shift in your mindset. That's just doing it a little different. Maybe you were going to open a full-scale restaurant and then you realize as you're doing your business plan that that's not really feasible for you. So you just decide to get a food truck. It's okay. You're still in business. You still are serving the people. You're still cooking. You're still doing your thing. And so that's what this is. It's not to discourage you. It's actually to encourage you and let you see what you have. And so then you can kind of maybe make some of your mistakes before you even get started. Like, dang, I thought I was going to be able to do this, this, and this. And now that I write this down and did the math and carried the one and talked to the CPA and did all the things, I'm realizing I'm only going to be able to do half of this right now. But that's okay. That's when you want to find out. So you want to create that business plan. You want it to be a solid business plan. You want it to be a well thought out business plan. You want it to be a business plan that you really can tackle, because just like anything else in life, you make this business plan today, you're going to revise it over time. You're going to revise it. You're going to grow. But right now, today, it's about doing what you can actually tackle and do right now, today. You don't want to get yourself in so deep where you are drowning when you first get started, because there's always going to be the unexpected in business anyway. No matter how many coaches you go to, no matter how many bankers you talk to, no matter how many business plans you write, there's going to be something. And so you want to save your stress, your anxiety for the things that you didn't even see coming. But don't start out the gate with stress and anxiety just because you didn't plan and you didn't work it out. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope that makes sense to everybody. So you want to create a solid and realistic business plan. And if you're not sure of how to start that business plan, I tell y'all all the time, your local chamber of commerce is a great place to go, or your local bank. Whoever you have a banking relationship with, find a banker who you trust, build a relationship with that banker, sit down and have a meeting with that banker, let them know what your ideas are. They should be able to walk you through making a business plan. And the Chamber of Commerce, the same way. Go to your Chamber of Commerce, even if you're not a member, let them know that you're looking to go into entrepreneurship full time, and you want to build a relationship with the chamber. They will help you even without you being a member. Why? Because that's what their business is. They want to be able to pour into you, help you, so that when you do get your business going, that you remember them and you come back and be a member. Figuring out a business plan for the first year of a new business has been a nightmare. I'm just winging it for a bit, and then I'll update the plan. It can be a little overwhelming, and winging it is better than doing nothing. Absolutely. It's like, because at least you have that thought process. I've had so many clients who have come through and they've been in business for a few years, part-time, but they don't have a business plan at all. Never even thought about a business plan. I had one person tell me, I didn't think you needed a business plan unless you were trying to get a loan from the government for your business. That's not true at all. So Janet, you are on the right track, because you're winging it. You knew it was a thing and you're trying to do it. So don't even worry about that. I love the fact that you're doing that. And you want to add from it, take away from it all the time. Use your business plan should be a working document, something that you go to, you add to, you take away from as you're growing, as you are scaling your business. So that leads me to my next point, which is ensuring financial stability and planning for unexpected expenses. I tell anybody, when you are going into entrepreneurship full time, you need to make sure that you have at least 1 year expenses in your bank account, not including your savings, because you want to make sure that on top of the stresses of starting a new business, leaving your job, because that is a transition. No matter how much you may hate your job, you are used to that job. That job gives you stability. There is a little anxiety that first pay period that comes around, and that direct deposit isn't in there. Even if the business is going great, it's still kind of like, oh my goodness. It's also usually where most of us have our health care, things like that. So let me see. I want to make sure I get this. I'm starting slowly 3 products and some plans, then added product number 4, and now working on product number 5. Girl, you are growing. I love it. I love it. I love it, Janet. Keep up the excellent work. And you know I'm here for you if you have any questions, but I am loving seeing what you're doing. But you want to make sure that you have at least 1 year's expenses in your bank account, because you don't want to be struggling financially worrying about how you're going to pay your mortgage, worrying about how you're going to get groceries on the table, not being able to ever treat yourself to getting your hair done and nails done. Because that's a mistake that some people have made as well, where they do this, but they just have enough in the bank to cover 1 year's worth of their bills. No, I want y'all to have that little bonus money in there as well, because you're still going to need self-care. You might not be able to do the normal 7-day vacation, but have enough in there where at least you can do a 3-day getaway, because you don't want to punish yourself for going into full-time entrepreneurship. You want to be able to maintain your lifestyle as best as possible. Now, if there are some things that you really do that are just kind of frivolous and you don't need it, like you don't have to have enough in there to get your Starbucks coffee every day, but maybe you want to buy yourself an upgraded coffee machine and get those things in the house so you can still kind of have that experience. You may not need to still get your nails done every 2 weeks, but you want to have enough in there at least to get your hair done once a month or your nails done once a month, because nothing is worse than when you're in the midst of all of this and you're doing something new and you're working, because as an entrepreneur, you work a lot more than you do in corporate. It hits a little different. It's more fulfilling, but it still can burn you out. And there's nothing worse than putting all this work in, feeling burnt out, and you can't even afford to treat yourself out to a nice dinner once a month. Like y'all know I'm all about self-care. I still want y'all to be able to do those self-care things. I still want y'all to be able to do whatever it is that you would do for holidays. There's nothing wrong with cutting back on some things, but I don't want y'all to struggle into this entrepreneurship, because when you're a full-time entrepreneur, it comes along with its own stresses. It comes along with its own, different things that are going to give you those days where it's just like, oh my gosh. And I don't want you to completely burn out. I want you to be able to have the money, have that cushion to maintain your lifestyle. And with that money in the bank, don't touch it unless you have to. If you can live off of your business money and you're making enough, then that's the money I want you to live off of, so that you can prove to yourself that you can do it. But I want you to have that money, that year's worth of money in the bank for those just in case months, for when something unexpected happens, for when maybe this contract gets pulled from you and you had no idea, for any possible cancellations, for if there's another pandemic, y'all, or something else like that. You have to be prepared. Small businesses suffered a great deal during the pandemic, but the funny thing about it, and the coincidence in it, is a lot of small businesses were birthed from the pandemic as well. But people who were in business, things were shut down. And so you want to make sure that you're prepared for those times, especially as a new business owner. And so I want you to have that money in the bank. I want you to be realistic with yourself. Now, I do know people who have completely downsized when they decided to go in business full time. That's completely up to you. Whatever that looks like for you, as long as you're comfortable. I just don't want you to think that you have to punish yourself for leaving your job and becoming a full-time entrepreneur. Because you have decided to do this thing for yourself, because you have decided to step out on faith, because you have decided to bet on yourself, you shouldn't have to struggle because of that. So I want you to be prepared, because you've worked hard and long in corporate America. Let that be your investor. So right now, today, if you have not already, think about opening up a separate account from your regular savings account and just start putting some money away for that day when you're going to write that 2 weeks notice. Start putting money away. Whatever you can afford, start putting money away. And what I will tell you is, it's a little easier mentally to cut back now in preparation than it is to cut back once you're in full-time entrepreneurship. So maybe now's the time to not do as many things to save, because you know what you're saving for. And it's going to feel good to say, you know what? I'm not going to Eddie V's this week. I'm not doing girls' night this week. I'm saving that money, because that's exciting. It's not going to make you feel bad to say, okay, I can't do this, because you know what you're planning for. But when you have to do all kind of cutting back when you're a new entrepreneur, it's always going to make you feel like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? I should still be at my job. Does that make sense to y'all? Put a 2 in the chat. It's a lot easier to struggle now than it is to struggle once you start the business, because you're going to second guess yourself. You're going to be in that woulda, coulda, shoulda mindset that we talked about the other day. And you're going to feel like you don't have because you didn't do the right thing. And that's not true. It's just the fact that you didn't plan accordingly. And so I want y'all to be ready for that and go ahead and maybe, be a little frugal now, because it's going to be a lot easier and feel a lot better because you're investing in yourself. So the next thing that you want to do is make sure that, thank you, Janet. I was like, I ain't even going to say it no more. They done fell asleep. I ain't even going to say, because I was on somebody's live the other day. I think it was Nick. And she said she'd be listening to people on live. She said, and I'd be falling asleep sometimes. She was like, because it's just soothing and relaxing to me. And I was just saying, maybe I'm just soothing and relaxing. But thank you for giving me that too. But the next thing I want you to think about ahead of time is developing an effective marketing plan and strategy. You have to figure out how you are going to reach the people. What is that going to look like for you? Are you going to reach the people by doing social media and marketing? Are you going to reach the people by buying ads in different newsletters and newspaper? Are you going to reach the people by being interviewed on different news broadcasts? How are you going to reach the people? What is your method going to be? Are you going to stand on the street corner and pass out flyers? Are you going to put flyers on cars in parking lots, which a lot of people frown on that unless you have permission? But, that could be considered trespassing. But I'm telling y'all, when I had my tax business, I was going to every parking lot of every shopping center in the city, putting my flyers on. But don't ever put anything in anybody's mailbox, y'all. That is a federal offense. You cannot go into anybody's mailbox. So you may want to send out mailers that have to go out through the post office or UPS, but it is not okay to drive up and down the street and just put stuff on people's mailboxes? Or is it okay to go to their doors if they have a no solicitation sign? Just want to let y'all know that, because I get stuff in my mailbox all the time. I don't report people. I understand the hustle is real. It's hard out here for a pimp, but everybody's not me. And then we have all this, stand your ground stuff and all that. I just ain't trying to go on nobody's property, not in this day and age. But you have to figure out what your marketing strategy is going to be. What I want to let you know for sure is if your marketing strategy is going to be social media, that's great. I have nothing against it. I do that all the time. But for those of us who are smaller content creators, and especially like with Facebook and stuff, most of the people that or that you deal with on social media, especially Facebook, they know you, and they're usually not going to be your customers or clients. So if you want your marketing to be social media, then you want to look into buying ads. I don't consider you soothing to put me to sleep. You're more empowering and energizing. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Janet. I'm like, I done put the people to sleep. I done put them to sleep. But you want to consider investing in ads. When you invest in ads on social media, then you are able to go in and choose your demographic, and they will push it out to other people who you don't know. Because when you post it, you're dependent on your friends and family members to be your customers and clients, and then you're depending on them to share it with their friends. And in the beginning, that's not how it works. So you want to look at that, and how much is it going to cost for you to get an ad? You can do ads for like literally just $1, $2. Whenever I do ads, I always start out small, see if I get any bites. I'm just putting it in the water, just casting it out there. And if I get any bites, then I might go ahead and expand it. Or if I don't, then I'll change the demographic. It's going to ask you, are you looking for this ad to go to men or women? What part of the country? Is it a specific city that you're looking? Because when I was in the tax business, I focused a lot on just the Fort Worth area, because I didn't think people were going to come to me from Kentucky to get their taxes done. And even though people could send me their documents, a lot of people don't trust emailing and scanning their documents with their financial information and social security card on there. So I spent my money advertising in the Fort Worth area. And so getting ads, doing those on social media definitely can pay off if that is the way that you want to advertise. You can also look into doing radio advertisement. You can get radio spots sometimes for very little money. It's not as expensive as you would think. And then you want to look at doing advertising with other people who have a different audience than you. So for instance, if somebody here, when I used to have my internet radio show on Fishbowl Radio Network, I had a lot of small businesses come to me and they would actually get advertising space on my show where I would talk about their business for anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on how much they paid. And it was a lot less expensive to come to me than it was to go to some of the national radio shows, because I was an internet radio show and a smaller radio show, but we still broadcast to 3 million people. So that is something you consider. For all of you out here who are in content creation streets and this YouTube family, you need to start collaborating if you are an entrepreneur with products and services. Ask some of your content creator friends if they don't mind mentioning your business. You can even record like a little commercial, the same way I do my Living Life with Stae. If I wanted to right now, I could pop Living Life with Stae up right now and play that for y'all. So if Janet or J3 or anybody else would like me to do a commercial for them, send me a little 30-second video. I can play it during my show. Those are the kinds of things that you want to think about in collaboration and in marketing. It doesn't have to be major. You don't have to have a Super Bowl weekend commercial to do marketing, but you do have to have some kind of plan, because even though word of mouth is the best, you have to get your business in some people's mouths so that they can spread the word. So the first customers and clients you get, you're going to have to do some sort of legwork. You also want to go to these networking events. You want to start going to conferences. You want to start going to the places where people who would be interested in what you have to offer are congregating. You got to start talking to people. You have to start sharing. You have to start building relationships. I tell y'all all the time that effective business is not about transactions. It's about relationships. Build the relationships and the transactions are going to come. So you need to start getting yourself in the room with people who would be interested in what you're doing. Barter with people. If there's something that you do that makes sense with something that somebody else does, then y'all switch, like, hey, let's collaborate on this. Let's see how maybe we can put something together ourselves. Build your own platform, build your own stage. If you have a product, start finding out when they're having vendor events. Get connected with people who are doing things. That's why I tell y'all the Chamber of Commerce is major. It is a major resource when you can find out where business people are gathering that you can start building relationships with, because you don't only want your customers and clients to be referring you, you want other business people to be referring you. I have a lot of friends who are in the real estate business. Realtors make friends with mortgage lenders. Why? Because they need each other. And so if I'm friends with this mortgage lender and I'm a realtor, when people come to me wanting to look for a house, because people always do it backwards. And just to let y'all know, this is just a bonus. When you're looking for a house, you want to go to your mortgage lender first and find out how much house you can afford before you go to a realtor. But most people contact a realtor first. That's fine. But the realtor is going to want to hook you up with a mortgage lender, and they usually go to who they know, like, and trust. Let's see. Why am I not? Okay, here we go. I bartered baby rash cream for lemon blueberry sourdough scones last week. It was amazing. Oh my goodness. And I need to get with you on that baby rash cream. You know, and they just walked in the door. My son and daughter-in-law, they're expecting their baby July 14th. And I was actually going to look into how to make some baby rash cream, because when I had my kids eons ago, you know, my baby is 22. There was something that somebody made me, and they actually called it butt paste. And it had, I think it was like, I don't know, coconut oil, talcum powder, all this different stuff, but it was amazing. And I was like, I actually was Googling how to make butt paste. So I'm gonna need to get the information from you on how I can order some from you, Janet. Now you see how easy that was. Janet just put that up there just to kind of piggyback off of what I said, like bartering is great. And now she done got a sale. That's what I mean. Talk about your business. Talk about what you have. Because that is something that I can use as something that I was just looking for. So before I try to make it myself or go buy it from somebody who I don't know, I already know, like, and trust Janet. So no questions asked. I want Janet's baby butt cream. So I am excited about that. Yeah, barter with people. It makes sense because if they have something that you already need and vice versa, it's just the kind of things that you can do to help sustain you. You want to network, you want to build professional relationships because that word of mouth is awesome. And as a business person, I like when people come to me and again, I can give them more than what they came to me for. People love meeting with me and having coaching sessions with me because we talk about things and they're expecting me just to kind of talk them through it, give them certain advice, whatever. But when they mention something and I can say, oh, well, I know somebody who does this, instead of just telling them you need to find, yeah, they actually called it butt paste. It was butt paste. I can refer them. Like, one of my clients needed an immigration attorney. She was just talking to me about her situation. I was able to refer her. I'm like, girl, one of my best friends is an immigration attorney. And she's like the number one immigration attorney in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. And they're like, oh my gosh. And she was just sharing something with me that she was going through that was stressing her out. And I was able to help her. So never be afraid to refer other people. And as you're doing that, also remember when you are making your relationships, building your connections, people are going to be referring you as well. And so you want to network, you want to do that. And these are all the things you want to start putting in place so that when you're ready to be a full-time entrepreneur, you already have built relationships. You already have connections. You're not like, okay, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. Let me see who I can meet. No, start meeting these people now. Let's see. We tried that on my nephew. I think it was Bordeaux, but oh, maybe. I don't know, but it was good. It was good. But yeah, I definitely want to order some from you, Janet, for sure. All right. So let's see. The next thing we want to talk about is understanding and managing risk. Y'all know I always talk about that worst case scenario mindset, but in a positive way. You want to think about worst case scenarios because you want to be prepared. What is your risk in doing your business? Do you have a business where you're going to need some sort of insurance? Do you have, as a caterer, there's always that chance of no matter how careful you are, you may have just gotten a bad product. Somebody could get sick. You want to think about that kind of thing. If you're somebody who wants to start like an event planning business and do bounce houses, somebody could get hurt. What is the risk to that? If it is some kind of business where you're going to be handling other people's money, if you want to do something where you're investing for people, what are the risks? You want to think of all the possible risks. You want to think about what could possibly go wrong so that you can plan for them, not to scare you, not so that you just say, oh my gosh, it's not worth it. It's just that, hey, this is what could possibly happen. How can I plan for that? Getting insurance. Yes, it is very annoying. It is. And the funny thing about it is I do coaching. I do soft skills training. I do emotional intelligence coaching. I still needed insurance. It was so funny to me. I still needed insurance. So that's why I'm saying, even when you may not think you do, you're like, well, I'm not a doctor or I'm not whatever. Like when you're doing hair, if you're going to be using any kind of chemicals, you just want to make sure that you are completely covered for whatever the risk could possibly be. You also want to make sure that when it comes to your credit and things, that you're getting things under your LLC, that you're doing things with your business credit so that just in case anything happens, that people aren't able to sue you directly and take your personal things. You want to make sure that you are just covered. You want to make sure that you have credit cards and loans that if you have a downtime, maybe you're able to defer payments. You just want to do all of those kind of things so that you don't get caught off guard. 9 million questions, none of which I had answers to. And when I answered, they didn't like the answers. Yeah, that insurance thing can be a pain in the butt. And that's the kind of thing that you definitely don't want to wait to do until you've quit your job and decided to do this full time, because insurance can also be very, very expensive. So that's another part of managing the risk of it. Just thinking about the worst case scenarios, think about all the possibilities. You definitely want to get yourself a mentor. You definitely want to be able to meet with someone who's already done what you're trying to do so that they can answer some of the questions that you don't even know to ask, and so you aren't caught off guard when you're doing your insurance or whatever it is. Let's see. It was only $16 per month, which is workable. Yeah, that's not bad at all, Janet. Not bad at all. And it depends on what you're doing, and that's the thing, because they're managing the risk. So your insurance and the payments and the liability is all going to be dependent on how much of a risk the insurance company thinks that you are to them. What's the likeliness of something going on? So you always want to think of those things. You always want to have your plan B. You always want to get ahead of those things. And those just aren't things that you want to start thinking about after you've quit your job. So now y'all can probably see why I'm saying, I always tell people, work on this plan to full-time entrepreneurship for at least 3 years. It may seem like that is a long time, like, dang, Stae, I am tired of this job. I'm ready to do it now. Now, you may be able to cut the time out if these things on this list, you've already done a lot of those things. But if you're starting from scratch and all you have now is a business idea, or all you've been doing is selling cakes from your house, and you just really haven't even thought of the legalities and logistics to it, unfortunately, I would say 3 years. And that is what we did with Wallace. Now, that's not what I did when I first started, but I didn't know all this stuff. And so a lot of things I bumped my head because, again, I've been an entrepreneur since I was in my late 20s. And so I didn't do all these things, but I'm telling y'all to do them because I don't want y'all to go through some of the rough patches that I went through, because quite a few of these things caught me by surprise, which is why I'm like, hey, do as I say, not as I did. And that's why whenever we did it this time around with both of us, it was a lot easier for us. All right. The last one. Oh, we're on the last one. That's because y'all haven't really, Janet been talking to me, but y'all ain't been saying nothing. Y'all quiet. It would have saved me a lot of trouble if I had done that plan. Yeah, it really is. It's always, because we find ourselves working in reverse, but we do the best that we can when we have it. If you had been sitting here with me before you started, you would have worked the plan, just like I would have worked the plan if someone would have told me. And so it's just like, we do the best we can, but that's why I love being able to share, so that if there's anything I can say, it's like, okay, good, I'm going to do that. And so the next thing that I want to talk about, which is going back kind of what we talked about in the beginning, but instead of just tracking your progress when it comes to your client base, I want you to set your goals and track your progress for everything. And that might sound like, duh, of course I will. But you will not know how many people cannot just tell you off the top of their head what they grossed last year in their small business, even if they're not full-time or whatever. They have no idea. They're looking at you like, what do you mean? I don't know what I made. Make sure that you have a separate bank account. Make sure that you're tracking your money. Make sure you're tracking how much you're selling. Keeping track of your inventory, not holding on to old inventory, making sure that you're turning things over. You do not know how many people that I've had in the past who sell things that are perishable. And that could be whether it's body butters and oils, not just food. Things go bad. They have a shelf life. There was a girl who did hair products and she was not tracking things. At some point, things might need to go on sale. You might have to give a discount, but you want to get rid of that inventory. So you want to keep track of your inventory. You want to keep track of how many products sell at what price, how many you sold before it needed to go on sale. And that's going to let you know how much inventory you need to keep. What is a reasonable amount, because you don't want to be spending more than you're making once you've been in business for a while. Business is about eventually making a profit. Now, the first couple of years, yeah, that's different, because there's certain things we're going to have to spend money on that you're not going to have to spend money on over and over again. But once you get going, if you're not making a profit, then again, you're just volunteering and giving away stuff for free. So you want to track that progress. So always have a separate bank account. Always keep track of what's coming in and what's going out. Make a difference between what months where you had something extra going on and maybe, a freezer went out, or maybe you had to do, something different as opposed to a regular month. You want to pay attention to that. And then every month you want to improve on something. And it doesn't have to be major, but you do want to see improvement every month. You want to see improvement in the amount of clients that you're getting. It may only be one more client. Like, look, I got 5 clients last month. Next month, I want to get 6. That's not trying to double it. You want it to be realistic, but you just want it to be more. I made $1,000 last month. I want to try to make $1,200 this month. You always want to be improving, but the only way you can really improve is by tracking. Sometimes people are afraid to track because tracking is what's going to tell us the truth, but it's necessary. These are the things that you need to know, especially before you go full time, because you are going to need a certain amount of money to survive. You're also going to have to realize how much you can spend. Being an entrepreneur, it hits a little bit different. I could go out there and possibly get a $30,000 contract tomorrow and $30,000 be in my bank account by Monday. That sounds great. That sounds like, well, that's a lot of money for a contract. It is, but I have to watch how I spend that $30,000 because I don't know what the next contract's going to be. So I can't just say, oh, I got a $30,000 contract. Let's book a 15-day world cruise. You know what I mean? Because we got to live off that money. So you need to know, how much do I need to make every month to be able to sustain my lifestyle? Oh yeah, clearance deals to get the old inventory out. Yeah, it's much better. You know, some people are really like, I'm not lowering my prices. But if it's not selling at this price, or you haven't sold it at this price, wouldn't you rather sell it for a lesser price than to just have to throw it away? And so that's what you want to think of. Sometimes in business, you do just break even. Sometimes you may even lose a little bit, but you don't want to lose everything. So you want to set those goals. You want to track your progress. That's how you figure out what worked, what didn't work, what I want to do again, what I'm never going to do again, what I might want to try, how I'm going to tweak it. Don't be afraid of knowing hard truth. Oh, let me see. Oh, I'm tracking it at each show so I can pay sales tax. Yes, that's the thing too. I'm glad you mentioned that, Janet, because that wasn't even on my my list. But yeah, you still got to pay taxes as an entrepreneur, and don't have to end up paying all of your taxes yourself. Charge your customers and your clients sales tax, because you are going to have to pay those. And that's the kind of stuff that you want to figure out too, how you're going to set up your business. Are you going to be 1099? Are you going to have W-2 employees? Like, there is a lot that goes into that. You want to start researching small business health insurance. We need health insurance. So it's different as a small business owner. You're responsible for your own insurance. You are the business. You're the corporation who provides the insurance. And so that was like the last step for Wallace and I before he came home, was figuring out what insurance is going to work for us. We are both people of a certain age. We unfortunately both have certain ailments. We both have hypertension. We need our medicine every single day. We could not afford to go without insurance. So we had to look. It took us a while. It took us probably about 6 to 8 months before we found an insurance provider and a plan that worked for all of our needs and that we also could afford. So you want to start looking into that. You want to start looking into your life insurance. So all of those things that a lot of times come with corporate America. And even though you're paying for it, it comes out of your check. You get to pick the plans. You don't have to do a lot of research. As an entrepreneur, you have to do your own research. Interview these companies. Go and sit down in an insurance office. Weigh your options. Look on YouTube for people who have already done it. See what their honest opinions and reviews are, because those are things that you're going to need. And it's too late to get them once you're already sick. You don't want something. I mean, I hope that nobody gets sick at all, but just something as simple as strep throat that you, with your insurance, could just go to the doctor, a $25 copay and $10 for your medication. Without insurance, strep throat can end up costing you $3,000. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. So you want to start doing that research now and making sure that it is something that you could afford. If you're leaving your job, if they have a COBRA plan when you leave, find out how long you can be on COBRA, how much that is going to cost. Those are all the things that you want to do. Start interviewing CPAs, figuring out what that's going to look like for you. Get involved in a coach. If you don't already have a coach, get a coach now. Pay for your coach now so that you're not having to pay for a coach once you go full time as an entrepreneur. Do those kinds of things now. Like I say all the time, you want to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Do as much as you can now. Invest in yourself now with your job. So when you make that transition into full-time entrepreneurship, it can be as smooth as possible, because I guarantee you, there's always going to be some kind of hiccup, but you don't want it to be something that's already piled up on top of things that you could have easily planned for. So that was my last point today. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope I said something that made an impact to make your journey just that much easier as you make this transition. I wish you all the best of everything that it is that you desire. I hope that all your dreams come true. You know that my email address is always in the description box, so don't be afraid to slide in them DMs if you have any questions. And I also do the 20-minute complimentary consultation with anyone who may be interested in one-on-one counseling, or not counseling. Y'all know I'm not a counseling, coaching, but y'all need to be in counseling. We all need to be in counseling, but I'm not a counselor. But anyway, y'all know the drill. I love and appreciate each and every one of you to bits and pieces. Always be kind and always love one another, but don't forget to live your life. LYFE. Love yourself first explicitly. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.
Living life is game. Hey, hey. 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 Love yourself first, explicitly. You owe it to yourself to move with that energy. Empower your self-esteem. Self-love is king. That's the only way to win. That's how you empower your dream. Living life is game. Hey, hey. Living life is game.